Hello everyone, my name is Cancino and welcome to my presentation on the National Detention Standards in Immigration Customs Enforcement Detention Centers. The U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, also known as ICE, was created in 2003 through a merger of the former U.S. Customs Service and the Immigration and Naturalization Service. It was intended to combine the investigative and interior enforcement of both organizations. ICE is operated by the Department of Homeland Security and is the largest immigration detention system in the entire world. Immigrants risk their lives migrating to the U.S. to seek a safer living environment, better work opportunities, better lives for their families, etc. When people are caught by Customs and Border Protection, or ICE, living in the U.S. illegally, they are held in detention centers and may face deportation. In 2018, ICE held nearly 40,000 immigrants in detention centers in the U.S. The standards of the ICE detention centers are the topic for today's presentation. The current standards are unethical, abusive, and a violation of human rights. The issue at hand is that ICE released a new version of its National Detention Standards, also known as the NDS. The updated NDS weakened critical protections and lowered oversight requirements. ICE no longer requires detention centers to maintain current accreditation with the National Commission on Correctional Health Care. The NCCHC is a nonprofit organization that aims to improve the quality of healthcare in jails, prisons, and juvenile confinement facilities. Also, they no longer require healthcare and medical facilities to be under the direction of a licensed physician. Instead of medical doctors, non-physician clinical medical authorities are permitted to make direct medical decisions. What are the requirements to be one of these medical authorities? It's practically non-existent. These people don't have any type of medical license. They are not registered nurses, LVNs, or CNAs. In March of 2003, the Homeland Security Act enacted the single largest government reorganization since the Department of Defense had been created. ICE was given a combination of civil and criminal authorities by Congress to better protect national security and the public safety in response to 9/11. From an ethical standpoint, the creation of ICE led towards the criminalization of immigrants and the privatization of immigration detention centers. The NDS was originally intended to facilitate consistent conditions of confinement, access to legal representation, and provide safe and secure operations to people in custody. To decrease standards and take away protocols set in place to protect the health of human beings is highly unethical. On May 6, 2020, the U.S. ICE agency announced the first coronavirus-related death of a detainee. As of mid-May 2020, nearly 1,000 detainees tested positive, which is an average of about 1 out of every 31 people in custody, and 44 active ICE employees tested positive. A recently released detainee said everyone was sick and piled on top of each other. The annual budget of ICE is $8.8 billion, and ICE claims to use $250 million on healthcare services per year. However, a lawsuit was filed, and lawyers say the money spent on medical budget is not being used properly because there are rampant and systemic problems such as short staffing, unqualified medical care providers, and delays or even denials of treatment. Proposed alternatives. Congress needs to terminate the expansion of ICE. Preferably, they should abolish ICE. It is an injustice to expand the agency but weaken the regulations set to protect the lives of immigrants in custody. They need to implement stronger health and safety standards in all immigration detention camps. Better monitoring and reporting of violations needs to be a priority. There also needs to be more accountability held by ICE officers and detention center employees through frequent inspections, hearings, and investigations. It is crucial not only to go back to the old NDN regulations, but to add more regulations regarding the health and safety of immigrants. When an agency has a multi-billion-dollar budget but fails to provide basic health care to people in their custody, it is a systemic issue. Recommendations. The NDS should be updated immediately with proper medical care standards. Non-physician medical associates should not be taking care of these people or making final medical decisions. This is without a doubt out of their scope of practice. Licensed doctors should provide quality care and ensure proper treatment. All detainees should have a physical and mental health assessment performed immediately once placed in the detention centers. There should be sufficient and trained medical professionals, such as doctors, nurses, LVNs, CNAs, etc., on staff 24/7, and detainees should not be denied or delayed medical care. It should be a minimum requirement that ICE detention standards meet the medical standards of the NCCHC and JCAHO. As for the disadvantages, there are none. We need to make better standards for people in detention centers, and people working there need to be held accountable.